Actually, to the contrary, I recommend people when you're doing your business plan and you're going to launch it with, 45%, 50%, because it's in that other 50% that you're going to stay flexible to what the feedback of your customer or of your client is. You can't have a whole thing completely done because then you're servicing yourself. When
Mm-hmm.
for feedback, for opinion, testimonials, then you're like, oh, this could be better if I fix it this way. So don't be afraid of just going for it. And it's not completely done. It's in that flexibility that it forms itself. And you have to be okay with failing a couple of times and saying, listen, it's part of the business plan, right? It's part of it. Failing is part of it. It's teaching you what not to do.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for spending this time with me. My name is Carlene Cadet Francois. I am your host. I am from Florida Assisted Living Consulting. We help busy professionals convert buildings into thriving assisted living and group homes right here in Florida. We are also the hosts and the organizers for the Assisted Living Caregivers Conference. Check the link in the description to learn more. We build communities. Inside of the Thriving Circle community, we show up live monthly to guide you, provide you one-on-one guidance that you can take and go out there, be successful, and make a difference. Check the link in the description to learn more. Today, I am here with an exciting guest. She has been inside of our Thriving Circle community before, and I am super pumped, super excited to have her with us today. Erika is an international acclaimed TEDx speaker, author, and master certified life coach. She is the founder and CEO of TPE Coaching and Consulting, known for her unwavering commitment and as an advocate for living a life of purpose, drawing from her own remarkable story of overcoming unthinkable hardships, as she documented in her book titled Without a Voice. And you will see a picture of it back there on her background. I'm about to grab my copy. A Woman's Journey to Resiliency. Erika dedicated herself to guiding others on a path towards understanding their own power, covering their true potential. Her mission revolves around empowering individuals in rewriting their own life stories and embracing their roles as the authors of their own narratives. Through her expertise and proven techniques, Erika equips communities to not only thrive, but to also accomplish audacious aspirations, regardless of the obstacles they face. Her story is one of transformation from victim to victorious. I love that so much. Miss Erika, welcome to the show. Can you please introduce yourself?
Well, you did a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yes, I am excited. Erika Obando and founder of TPE Coaching. I'm also been a international speaker for, I'm going on 12 years now, and the author of Without a Voice, A Woman's Journey to Resiliency, as well as it's in Spanish, El Silencio de mi Voz. And I have other books in the works as well coming out in the next year.
That is so amazing. I mean, I watch you on stage. You show up, you do your thing, you get people motivated, you write these amazing books. I cannot wait to get my copy in my hands so that I can share with my audience and read it and learn so much from your story and your history, talking about from victim to victorious. I know some of us, like the smallest little thing will happen to me sometimes, even though I've worked on my mindset so much. But if I'm already not feeling well physically, and then it's around my time of the month, it's like any little thing could just get you down. How have you been able to transform your own life? Because we always start with ourselves first, from victim to victorious. And then now you're transforming so many other people's lives. How have you been able to achieve that?
Well, I'll tell you, I loved how you phrased it. We have to do the work for ourselves first, right? Because I always share with my clients and with people that I speak with, no different than when you're on a flight that they tell you put your oxygen mask on first, because unless you take care of yourself first, you're not good for anybody else. So it's super important for you to take care of yourself first. And in that process, you mentioned that we go through our things as well, even as coaches, as motivational speakers, whatever we are, we also go through our things where we're not 100%. And how do we show up in those spaces? How do we help people still while we're not 100%? I say that my biggest thing is boundaries. I know when I am not fully 100% myself to be able to pour into somebody else. So I retrieve a little bit and I create that space for myself, right? Like, how do I take care of whatever is going on? Is it if I'm going through a tough day? I work with a lot of clients. Sometimes the coaching sessions are challenging, right? So it takes out a lot of me. So I have to go and regroup. I have to pour back into myself. So it's about creating that safe boundary for yourself to know that you've got to replenish, right? You've got to do the things for yourself first so that you could be good for others. And trust me, there's plenty of times where I have to take an afternoon off to go. I do a lot of work with little Erika, right? My inner child. And so I'll go walk in a park. I'll go and do the things that really, really bring it down to basics. I don't overcomplicate my life. I think some of us do. Society sometimes makes us think that we have to overcomplicate our life. No, it's saying pause. I got to go for a walk. And when you go for a walk, no technology, no nothing, just you, nature, whatever it is that fills your cup. And then you can come back and, kind of re-enter the spinning wheel we're always on. But it's taking care of yourself and creating boundaries for that.
I love that. I love that. When I left the sheriff's office, I literally took months and I just sat by the pool outside early in the morning, 5 o'clock before everybody get up. And I am just listening to myself. It is something that I don't think I had ever been able to do because for the longest time, I felt like I was on survival mode. And it was then that I discovered that little girl inside of me. And you talk about that little girl a lot. And oftentimes I find myself crying outside, comforting. But then finally, for the first time, I am noticing that little person. And a lot of us can't really move on to the next step because your little girl is still trapped. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little about that? Because I experienced that firsthand.
Well, I'll connect the dots with the phrase that you use that I love to live my life by, victim to victorious. That transformation happened when I recognized that I couldn't continue to blame my parents, the people that hurt me, the adults that were in my life that made some decisions for me as a child that damaged the little girl, right? I was carrying so much hatred and anger, and I was like making them my prisoner, right? How could you do this? And I was like chasing that infamous thing that we want them to pay the price. No, the victim to victorious came when I said, whatever happened, happened, but I've got it from here. You know what? Thank you for what you did then, but now I get to reparent this little girl. I get to give her everything I know she wanted and she needed, and stop blaming everybody else for what wasn't given to me. So I think it's important for us to take that ownership, because in ownership of that responsibility, we stop being the victim of our story. We stop saying, oh, but look at what happened to me. And instead it's like, look at what happened, but look at what I changed and look what I did about it. I come from a very traumatic story, right? Which is why I wrote the book and I did the TED Talk about my life, because I, as a child, went through things that no child should have to go through. However, I'm an adult now. What happens now? Where is the transformation now? And the transformation is saying, I got this. I'm going to reparent her. She gets the toys that she always wanted. She gets to go sit in the park. I just turned 50 years old, and you will still find me going to a park on a swing or going down the slide, because it's not even about me anymore. It's about reconnecting with that little girl that survived so much and got me to where I can take the baton and say, all right, I got it from here. So the success is hers, not necessarily all mine. And so I have to honor her and I have to take care of her and, do the things that she needed as a little girl, but doing it for her today, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, I absolutely love that. I am one of those people, like, I'm full of energy and I can get so serious that people don't realize how goofy I am. Like, I can get really goofy. And I am just like you, I success leave clues, right? Like you, I keep life very simple. And when I discovered my little girl, and it was such a blessing because I have two boys, and then my daughter is the last born. And I've had the opportunity to do the most work in myself around the time that I was having her. And after I had her, and got full control of my time and schedule after she was born. And so now I get to be a little girl with her. We start running and doing crazy stuff. But it's a beautiful thing to see. And sometimes we can look at successful people and then we can compare and be like, I don't know, they look like they have it all together. When in reality, they have the mindset together. That's what they have. Can you tell us? I know this is your expert area. Can you tell us a little bit about mindset and how it plays a role into everything that we do in our everyday lives?
It's the most important thing that we have to pour into in our lives. The mindset is all. I mean, when I teach some of my clients, I talk about this. I say, for example, I've done a course on how to be a public speaker. And I share with my clients and my students that when you get quote unquote nervous, right? It's the sweaty palms. You feel your heart racing, your palms get sweaty, your heart starts racing. Like you feel this weird anxiety when you're nervous.
Mhm.
When you are excited, it's the same symptoms. You get the heart racing, the sweaty palms, that anxiety that comes up, the good anxiety. So it's the same exact symptoms when you're nervous and when you're excited, but it's our mindset that tells us which one it is, right? And so when you control your mindset, and even when you're nervous, you tell yourself, I am just so excited. I am so excited because it's retraining your brain to move out of from I'm nervous, I'm scared, it's moving it away from there to I'm excited. You make decisions and move from a different place when you're excited versus when you're nervous, right? So whenever I would go on stages, I would get the butterflies in my stomach and I would get like the heart racing. But I would say, I am so excited because I get to do this. Not many people get to walk on stages and share things that are going to inspire. So it's about my mindset. I am very fortunate to be able to do this. I get to wake up every morning. Some people don't, unfortunately, right? So it's again bringing it back to basics. What makes happiness simple and uncomplicated? It's that you get to wake up every morning. We got to wake up very early this morning to do this. Not many people get to do that. So it's just looking at the small golden nuggets that are in very, very simple lines right here, right? And it's about knowing that you have the power to control your mindset. You've just got to reframe it in your brain, right? I'm not scared. I'm just going to go for it. Or my favorite is ask yourself, what if, and why not me? Right? Why can't it happen to me? Why can't I be happy? Why? And start answering those questions because it's in that you start looking at things different and your mind starts looking at things.
I love that. I love that because now you guys know my secret. Because they hear me say I'm so excited all the time.
Right. It's okay to be afraid. And that's when you know that we're alive, right? We have all these amazing emotions, but we also have control of them. And then here's another thing that I think is super important to add to that is we've got to stop being afraid of failing. Failing is one of the best things that can happen to you in your life because when you fail, you know what didn't work and you know what can work if you try again. So it's stop being afraid of failing. I would not have a business if I hadn't failed in the beginning several times. And it was my mindset saying, this is my purpose in life, so I'm going to keep going and keep going. I wouldn't have achieved what I have achieved if I would have stopped at the first failure.
I'm telling you, you're speaking my love language right now. people people could look at successful people and they're like, oh, Carlene has so much going on, Erika has so much going on, but who's keeping track of how many times we fail?
Exactly.
We are keeping track of that. And I love to hear successful people speak about how they got here. I love to read books about, how they did it, what they overcame, because it literally inspires me. And I try so many things. And one of the reasons why I try so many things is because I want to see how much I can accomplish. And if I failed, I learned something. And you and I both have spouses. And sometimes the only person who knows how much we failed besides us are them, right? Because they see us falling forward all the time. You also talk about falling forward. And so if someone's listening to that line, what does that really mean? Because a lot of my audience are trying things for the first time, like they're embracing themselves. Like you, they are caregivers, they are sandwich generation children. I know that you're also a sandwich generation child. I want to know, how do you fall forward with all of that going on in your life on a daily basis?
Well, listen, each one of us, Carlene, has a gift. We weren't put on this earth just to kind of, TikTok. Put on this earth to share each individual gift that we all have. For me, it's I in my own story, in my own challenges, in my own failures, I'm able to use that to show people that even going through the most strenuous and hardest things in your life, you can still succeed. And I'm proof of it, right? I could have stayed the victim of my life for the rest of my life, but I chose to change that. So for me, my gift is, how do I inspire people to do that? And I do it, by the way, like you said, our spouses and our partners, they know what we go through, but I share the same failures with my son. I share the same failures with his girlfriend, with my family, because with my friends, my colleagues, because it's important for them to see that there is a yin to the yang. It's not all just success. There are plenty of times that I sit at my desk on a really, really challenging day and I break down and cry. And even that is fantastic, because crying is a sign of life, right? When we have our children and they're coming to this world, what's the first thing that they tell us that they're alive? That they're crying, right? So why is it such a negative when we get into adulthood? It's not. I, Crying is just such a release of the tension that's going on inside. And once you let it all out, it's like, okay, I think I can clear. I can think clearly now. I mean, maybe you have to go fix your makeup, but whatever. It's the best feeling in the world where you let that pressure out and then you can think clearly. So I think it's important, as you say, failing forward or falling forward. It's understanding that you don't have to have all the answers right away. You don't have to have the business plan from A to Z completely done before you launch. No, actually, to the contrary, I recommend people, when you're doing your business plan and you're going to launch it with, 45%, 50%, because it's in that other 50% that you're going to stay flexible to what the feedback of your customer or of your client is. You can't have a whole thing completely done, because then you're servicing yourself. When
Mm-hmm.
room for feedback, for opinions, testimonials, then you're like, oh, this could be better if I fix it this way. So don't be afraid of just going for it. And it's not completely done. It's in that flexibility that it forms itself. And you have to be okay with failing a couple of times and saying, listen, it's part of the business plan, right? It's part of it. Failing is part of it. It's teaching you what not to do.
I love that. I love that, because I will tell you, a lot of the things I just start. The other day I was going live and I told my assistant to send me something. And I just pressed, as soon as my mind started playing games with me, giving me excuses, I just pressed the live button.
Yeah.
And you don't always have, almost like maybe 40% out of the time, you have the right steps in place. Even then, as you start to serve your clients, you realize what you thought they want something else. And that's why I like to survey my audience. I like to get their feedback. I like for them to send me messages at conference or in-person events. I like to give them flashcards. Don't put your name, give me your raw feedback. I want to get to know them, what they're looking for, not what I think. So thank you for sharing that, because oftentimes people do believe they have to have all the answers. But I'm telling you, and Erika is telling you, even when you have all the answers, they are your answers. They are not your client's answers, and you're going to have to tweak.
Yes. Actually, that happened to me at the beginning. I remember that when I first launched TPE coaching, I had in my mind, okay, I'm going to do this with the client. And Carlene, I was doing so much excess work that was so unnecessary because the client, not that they didn't see the value in it, it was completely unnecessary because what I gave them from here to here was more than plenty. And that extra work that I was doing from here to here was just extra work on me, putting pressure on unnecessary. The client was like, actually, I'm good with here to here. So you, again, just roll out what you think. This business and building a business is calling to you. If being an entrepreneur is calling to you, there's a reason why that doesn't go away. So listen to that calling and jump in. Like you said, just go ahead and hit live, and then you'll figure out your way on, as you're there, and leave room for feedbacks, because that's how your business gets built, not because of what you think your head is in your head.
I love that because that is so true. I go through that every single day. Like I planned the 2026 year, and we're planning 2027 as well. And literally, it's not what I think the audience want, it's from what the audience say they want, and then building everything from there. Now, a lot of my clients are caregivers, people who are starting businesses for the first time. I know firsthand starting a business is not easy, even with mentorship and everything else. How have you been able to build TPE coaching and consulting? And also, how have you been able to grow it so well? And I know that you have different products you put out. Can we learn a little bit about your company, what you do, the products that you put out? Because listen, I have some of her products. Like I'm waiting to get my copy so I can share it with you guys. But it's, you've done amazing work, and I'm proud, and I am so proud of you, and I am so proud of you. I know I said that 3 times because people can get caught up in a loop, especially when things happen to them. But I love to see how you took that, and I know it wasn't easy, but you changed your life, and now you're changing so many lives. Yes, tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and besides being on big stages and everything else, we want to learn if someone want to grab some of your products right now before they go to the conference, what they are and what they should grab first.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that. I actually am, I'm going to loop it back to what you asked. TPE came about by accident. If believe it or not, I was doing my speaking, and I was on different stages, whether it was small stages, big stages, national, international, and I was I was pushing my book Without a Voice, and that's all I wanted to do. But I didn't realize, again, this is when you build a business that's flexible, right? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
people were going to not only connect to my story of resiliency, of victim to victorious, but I had one individual. I was in Los Angeles, and I was doing a presentation, and this individual came up to me after the event, and they hugged me. They said, "Thanks so much. Listen, I connected to your story, and I want to be successful like you, or I want to come out on the other side victorious. Can you coach me?" And at first, I was like, "No, right?" Because I'm not a coach. I was like, "I'm just a speaker and an author." But in recognizing the responsibility of what I was putting out there, something else, an opportunity came up, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that there was a coaching component to it. And this is when I again listened to that calling and said, maybe this is what it was. And sure enough, I opened up TPE, which by the way stands for the pink elephant, because I handle the pink elephant in the room, the wellness conversation, the things that people don't want to speak about, right? I'm stuck in my life and I don't know how to get unstuck. Those conversations are the pink elephant in the room, and that's what I want to help people with. So when I built TPE, I said, you know what? I'm going to help the individual that's stuck, that doesn't know how to, because I know how to get that done, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to help them get unstuck, find their purpose, to give them the direction and the tools so that they can fulfill that whatever's inside. And I started there. And again, in the flexibility of things, I was working with one-on-ones. And then I did a presentation one time, and a gentleman in the office said, and the audience said, listen, a lot of the things that you're talking about is leadership and it's team culture development. And you'd be great to do a workshop for my team. And I never even thought about that, right? But because I was trusting the process and doing whatever this calling was, someone said, hey, here's an idea. And Carlene, my business took off because I trusted that that was the space I needed to be with. So now I still work with one-on-one people that want to, like you said, I just want to start my business. I don't know how. I help women and men who do that. People that are stuck, they're like, okay, I have my business, but where do I go to the next level? I help people with that. But now I also work with companies where they're bringing me in to bring back the humanity into the workplace. That mental wellness is a thing in the workplace, that people can be productive and taken care of and supported at the same time. So now that's what I work with individuals. And so in that conversation, I've been able to, and I have it here. So this is Without a Voice, A Woman's Journey to Resiliency. This is the book that kind of started it all. But I've also started to develop workbooks because there's some people that I've worked with that they're like, I'm actually good, but now like I want to continue to do the TPE work on my own. And so now that's where this came in. So I have my accountability partner, which is a self-coaching book. And it kind of
Put it more in the middle. Yeah. Yeah. So nice.
it kind of guides you through different processes of your life, right? How to set goals. So it kind of guides you into how to set goals on your own. It gives you instructions on how to do that. It also has little girl, little inner child playing, right? So you can like a life bingo or your to-do list bingo, time boxing, time planning. So it's like a self-help book that you can do on your own. And this is part one of three. This is my accountability partner. The next one before the end of the year, we'll have my relationship playbook, which is how to have a effective and productive relationship with your partner at home, right? Because it kind of guides you through conversations that you don't necessarily have because everybody's in a rush. He's walking in the door, she's walking in the door, dinner has to be done, the kids have to be taken care of, all this stuff. When do you sit down and talk about, hey, where's your career? Where's my career? So the playbook guides you through quarterly meetings with your partner outside of the home where you can have these fun conversations and serious conversations to continue this relationship, the marriage, the partner, whatever it is that you have, so you can do it effectively. And then the last one is your growth journal. And again, it's how to pour into yourself. So I'm really excited about that because I get to extend my reach and extend my support with individuals that can just pick a copy up on the website and continue their growth and reach out to me with success stories.
Oh my God, I am so excited. I cannot wait to grab my coffee, by the way. I know that it's been shipping. I'm gonna get it soon. But I mean, sometimes you just don't know how good you are because you wouldn't have gotten these recommendations if you didn't if you didn't kill it. That's the word I can come up right now. Because we, like, as people who serve others, we are so focused on serving the client, making sure that the client is good. Of course, we work in ourselves, but we're not out there saying, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. Yes, it's good. Sometimes we naturally point things out about ourselves, but I love to see how you were flexible enough where people would see that you're good at this, but you haven't named it correctly yet. And then you listen to it. You actually listen to it in implementing it, right? Another success clues. And then you then turn around and you put these products together. And I know these are not easy work because I've done products, and I know how much discipline it takes to actually get the thing done. But I love to see that you not only care for the entrepreneurs themselves, but you also care for their partners, you know, because the partnership of whoever you share that love story with makes a big difference. Yesterday, me and my husband, we just took off and we went to go walk by the beach, and we sat on a bench, and we just sat there, and we just planned vacations, all type of stuff away from the children. But it takes that intentionality to think about all of these things and to put them together. And not only do they help to support you, but you have a roadmap to follow. And I, like I said, again, I know I'm saying that 3 times. I cannot wait to get my copy, because I'm looking forward to discovering how much more can I do with my spouse to add higher quality of life to our relationship.
And it's not even remember, yes, we are adults that go into these relationships, but your husband has an inner child. You still have an inner child. And there's a lot of times where my fiance and I will do things that we call it a play date. Why do we have to call it a date night? Why do we have to be so serious about it? There's play dates. Like we have a new home that we've been caring for, right? We just bought a new home, so our thing is this garden that we're putting together. And we're little kids when we're planting this garden. We laugh and we're throwing dirt at each other, because it's how do you rekindle that relationship? My fiance is a business owner. I'm a business owner. So, as business owners, we're going 100 miles an hour, almost 24/7. But there's times where you have to create that distance from your work, and remember that this support comes because he's there supporting you, she's there supporting you, whatever it is, that whoever it is that you said, whoever is the person that's loving you through this process, you've got to make time for them as well. So the relationship playbook is that it's bringing you back to reconnecting with that support system you have. Because can I do this on my own? Yes. Could I have done it the way I did it without my fiance's support? Absolutely not. Because it's in that support and that love and push and encouragement that I was able to just kind of launch as well. So it's important to go back to that. So yeah, I'm excited for you to get all this and work on it, and then let me know how it works out for you.
Yes. And it's beautiful to watch people succeed. And you talk about leadership coaching. One thing that I brought with me from the sheriff's office, and I actually didn't even realize it, was the fact that I was a deputy, then I was a sergeant, then BSO, Broward Sheriff's Office. They're so, they literally drill you on ethics, leadership, um picking the lesser evils. So when I came into the senior care world, even though it was a new industry to me, leadership was installed in me over like a decade of working at the sheriff's office. What are some things that a lot of my clients are going to be new business owners? Of course, they're caregivers. What are a couple of leadership qualities or leadership nuggets that you can give them that they can put in their pockets to succeed, especially that first year of running a first-time business?
I have the perfect three. And to use your number, the perfect three. The first one is please, if I could point out one of the biggest ones, is just be authentic. Sometimes as leaders or business owners, we think we have to fit this profile of, we're going to push the bottom line, and we got to make sure that there's money coming. Yeah, that's all important, but just be authentic, be yourself, because that's how you attract good people to come work for you. That's how you attract good clients to come work for you, because they connect to the authenticity, especially in today's world where everything seems to be filtered. Everything seems to be like, there's this face that we show, but in the background, nobody's showing what's happening. Just be authentic. I share my successes as much as I share my failures, because it's in that authenticity that people connect. It's like, okay, she's real. Let me go ahead and work with her because she's real. So leadership is be authentic. The second one is super important. A leader, we were taught that the leadership says, stand in the front of the line and say, follow me, right? Where that couldn't be more the contrary. A good leader is in the back of the line with a peripheral view of their team, of their future, of everything from the back, and helping people push them forward. So the leader is in the back of the line, pushing everybody forward, supporting, raising them when they fall. If you're in the front of the line saying, follow me, you can't see who fell behind you, who needs support, who's struggling back there. So that's why I invite you to flip that over. go to the back of the line and lead from there, because it gives you a different perspective as to how you're going to push your team and your business and your culture forward. That was a really important one. And the last one is lead with empathy. We get caught up in, again, the numbers so much that we forget that there is a human being that applied to work for you. There is a human being that volunteered to work for you, that for some reason was called to do that, whether it was because they needed a job or what. But lead with empathy. Talk to the human being, not the employee. Because when you get those two mixed up, you will get a different result. If you are pushing the bottom line and you're saying, where's your KPI, where's your number, you're going to get robotic responses, right? And we don't have robots, thankfully, yet in the workplace. As you know, as much as they say that that's what's going to happen, we still have human beings that are showing up to our work. So remember to work from a place of empathy. So those are my three. It's, lead from the perspective of, being authentic, lead from behind, because that's where you see your best perspective and your best peripheral, and lead with empathy, because it's in that empathy that people become loyal to you and they stay for the long run, versus saying, no, this is just the job, now let me go find another job. Loyalty is the biggest key in the workplace today, but it starts with you giving the empathy so that you can create loyalty.
I love that so much. I love that so much, especially in caregiving. Literally, if you don't implement those things Erika just talked about, people will leave you, caregivers will leave you for 50 cents
Yeah.
more and go somewhere else and get 50 cents more. I'm telling you. But when they are loyal to you, and that's something that I experienced myself. I had staff members that literally I can count on them. They will bend over backward. But then when something is happening in their lives, they can count on me. You know, I want to know what's going on with your daughter. How is she doing? I'm checking up on them outside of work hours. Like literally, we become a little family unit, because it's in that becoming a family that we both look out for one another, right? And that loyalty is everything. That if it's one thing you get right, do
Yes.
those things, because it's that loyalty that's going to protect your business.
Correct. Set it up for the long run, right? For what you envisioned. It starts with you. A lot of people, a lot of companies nowadays think it's the employee. No, it's not the employee. You're the driver of that bus, right? So who are you putting in there, and how are you supporting them, and how are you making sure that they're safe so that they can go forward with you? So yeah, it starts with the leader.
I love that. And I love that analogy of leading from behind. I actually never thought about it. I get so excited to sit and do these conversations because I also end up learning a lot. I'm just like, oh, that was so good. And that was one of those moments where I thought, oh my God, that was so good, because you really get to see your entire team. I remember one time I walked in and my little sweet little older lady, and she smeared poop all over the walls, and I walked in the smell, and all I can see is my team doing the best that they could, because this was early in the morning, everybody's about to show up and the place smells, and I just put on my gloves and we all got to work. But it was at that moment that they realized what type of leader I was, because I showed up and I put my hands in and we got the work done. But another thing we didn't get to talk about is the fact that you also help people plan their year. I gained so much value out of it. And I'm someone who plans everything. So as the year is ending, what are some strategies that you use to plan your next year?
Well, again, the word flexibility. It's about how to be flexible. And then here's another thing, especially for business owners, be open to receiving, right? We are such givers, and specifically in your industry, right? Such caregivers that we're always worried about, how do we do this way? But as a business owner, it's important to also go this way, because we forget to, take care, and we forget or are embarrassed to ask for the support. I say that for as much as I mentor and I coach and I give this way, I pour into myself. I have coaches that I work with. Otherwise, I couldn't do this by myself. And I always said, if you're interested in working with a coach, the first question you should ask is, do you have a coach? And if the answer is yes, then continue the conversation. If the answer is no, run in the opposite direction, because then that person doesn't invest in themselves and doesn't see the value in it. So I think it's important that for the incoming year, to make room for yourself, and for you to give yourself the permission to ask for help, or to get, work with a coach, because it's in that you're going to find the growth that you need. We don't all have the answers. There's plenty of times that I'm sitting with my business coach and she says something and I'm like, wow, that was incredible, right? And you don't see it because you don't have all the answers. That's why we have that community of support. And so I encourage people to, as they're working into the next year, whether it's in their personal or professional life, ask for help. And not only ask for help, but also be open to receiving. That was a huge lesson for me in the last 2 years, was um, having the ability to receive, because we're such givers that we forget, no, it comes this way as well. So it's like you start with the give, but you also have to the take. It's a give and take beautiful relationship that happens for everybody's success.
I love that. And that's something I had to learn because for some reason, I had this thing in my head that when I received, something was wrong because I was always supposed to be giving. So I pushed myself to say yes. So what you said is empowering because I myself have a coach, right? I actually have several coaches, but you can't grow without proper mentorship, and investing in yourself first is always the first strategy, because when you go invest into a business, you're ready. Especially that mindset role play a huge factor. So I want you guys to reach out to Miss Erika. She will be at the conference, but that's in January. Start reaching out to her now. you know, you will be able to find some of her products, and we do plan to give some away as well because I think they're so valuable. But reach out to her, let her know what was your big aha moment. I've had my at least two aha moment while we're sitting on this call, and I pay a lot on mentorship and different things like that. So with all of that said, any last word for my audience?
Well, I am so excited. Thank you for having me here. This was really an incredible conversation for us to be able to inspire one another and your audiences. But I'm excited to meet your audiences in person at your event coming in January. And for sure, if they want to reach out to me before that, my website's tpecoaching.com. The books are already available there. And I also have a contact form. I am more than open to talk to anybody who wants to reach out and find out what this looks like as far as coaching.
I love it. I love it. And we're also going to add your information in the description. Guys, please reach out, and also don't just keep the information to yourself because you didn't think that your sister would need it, or that your aunt might want it. So share it, start with your own family, share it with your friends, and then, because wealth is when we can share information and we can help each other grow. We can grab a sister or brother and say, come alongside me. Let's go be successful together. It's fun to fail forward with people that you know and trust. And we are here to serve you. If you found any value in this training, Miss Erika, thank you so much for being here. I know your schedule is very busy, but I learned so much. And I'm sure my people are learning so much from the value that you shared with us. Please consider like, subscribe, and share this video with someone that will find it valuable. And go to the conference page and get your ticket. I will see you next time. Thank you for spending this time with me and Erika. Bye now.